Hi, I'm Meera Allen with your Manifesting Destiny Moon Update. So we have just had the sun going into Gemini, and we have a new moon in Gemini this Friday morning at 5:44 a.m. That's Southern Hemisphere, Eastern Coast Standard Time, and for the Northern Hemisphere on the 25th. So early hours of Friday morning is when this new moon will be most felt. But as usual, on the lead up to these new moons, especially, it is the waning phase of the moon. What are we cleansing, shedding, and letting go of? But also, with that Gemini energy, how do we communicate that internally? How do we communicate in our thoughts? What's going on in the patterns of our mind and our habitual thinking? What do we need to shed out of that? What about our communication that's reflected in others? What do we see and what do we learn from that reflection? And then also our communication, of course, to the higher self, which is also reflecting us. So I look at our communication, our fast nature when you look at Gemini and its extremes of duality, and you think of one twin speaking to the other twin, having that conversation. So it's both in the physical aspect of your life as well as your emotional, mental aspect of your life. So that duality is always going on. And how do we get that into more congruency? And how do we ask and communicate for the help or express those feelings around what goes on in our internal dialogue? These are the things that are coming up, and they don't feel so tangible sometimes. And that's when we notice they start to get reflected in the physical, as we're changing seasons at the moment. So we have to have a look at, where do we want to be in more of that Gemini, light-hearted, communicative nature, where there is this dynamic expression of ideas and creativity and energy that can bounce from one to the other, like your own internal sounding board. But before we get there, we did have that full moon in Scorpio, so that dredged up a lot of the intensities of our patternings, our past, our behaviors, our things that we need to actually change. If anyone saw the Scorpio moon update, it was quite intense. The Tower card, the Death card, all that change. And in deep, dark places, the shadow self, where we need to go in and explore really, personally, privately for ourselves and go, does this serve me? Or am I ready to let that go? So we've had all that shown in that Scorpio full moon. Now we're on this last little bit of waning phase of that moon, and we're moving to Gemini, the lighter, the air side, where we can really now communicate clearly. What is it that I want? And it's not communicating so much externally all the time, but communicate internally. So one, communicate that with your physical body, your physical well-being, with the food that you eat with. How are you communicating with that food? Now, I recently had a conversation about how just, talking to those vegetables and talking to that food and thanking that nourishment before you even put it in the pot to cook those vegetables, have a relationship, communicate, be in that Mercury Gemini nature and communicate with your food and see what it gives you back. Start to notice how you're communicating with your environment, with nature itself. See how you feel in that communication. Have you had enough communication with nature? These are the questions to ask, because then what happens is the mind, when that physical is being nourished, and then the mind starts to get this amazing ideas, creativity, clarity, fast ideas and thoughts that come quickly, and that we can start to act upon them now. So if you think about the Gemini, it's not about it's not a procrastination. It's okay, let's communicate this idea out, let's make this happen. It has a fast energy about it in that air sign. And then finally we come to, of course, when we've cleared the mental stuff, the reflections around us. The reflections in every single soul we come across. Every experience and situation. Everything that we're encountering. Every person we're having that real heart-to-heart communication with. What are those conversations that come up around you? What are we listening to? What do you listen to as you fall asleep? How do we listen to that in a divine part of ourself that's constantly communicating with us. Whether we listen to it or not, who knows? But when we tune in and we have that time and communicate with that, we seem to have more ideas, more creativity, more assistance comes, and the universe will conspire to help you move forward. The questions we want to communicate out to this universe are, how can the universe work through me? That's been something I've been asking all week. How can the universe work through me? And they've come and shown me other people that have reflected me, that are willing to come and assist my artistic path, paint the edges of my paintings and clear my art shed with me. Well, these angels have literally, earth angels, human beings have appeared in the physical to assist this journey that I've been thinking about, in the back of my mind. How do I express all that's in me authentically and truthfully? Even the phone conversations I've had recently, straight down the line, real communication. What's been going on? Where are you? How's things going for you? What do you need to shift? Do you need to have a week of absolute freedom? How can you get light again? How's your joy? How's your laughter? These are the things that have been coming up in this Gemini lightness. So, your homework on this next couple of days, cleanse away what you don't need, literally. Physical objects, things, whatever. Oh, usual waning moon stuff. Have a sage, whatever you want to have to do to clean out. I have to lighten my hair and feel brighter and lighter. So clear away what you don't need. Say goodbye. End those chapters. Break those patterns, whatever it is, mental, physical, emotional, whatever way. And when you've done these things, allow yourself the freedom. Allow yourself to see yourself in that complete freedom and expression of ideas. Those thoughts that you really want to have running through your mind, that are full of abundance and prosperity and joy and good relationships and good food, fun times. Such a beautiful time to be alive on this planet. Such a beautiful time to commune with that higher self. So go out and have some fun. On the lead up, do your work, but do enjoy the process. Enjoy this new moon in Gemini as the sun shifted into Gemini, and enjoy this last bit of this cleansing period before the 26th in the Southern Hemisphere and the 25th in the Northern Hemisphere. Please comment, subscribe, whatever you want to say, ask me questions below. And for those people that have got their moon in Gemini, maybe it's a time to check out what you're dreaming, what's in your subconscious. Maybe write it all down, get it into another form. Maybe ring a friend and communicate that out with someone. Be aware of your dreams. Be aware of what's coming to you in those etheric, airy, light spaces, even when you're daydreaming, and enjoy. If you don't know your moon sign, if you don't know your sun sign, your rising sign or anything, feel free to get a personal session with me, either via Skype or on the phone, and send me an email. Have a beautiful new moon in Gemini. Subscribe below, and happy new moon. Feels full though. Happy new moon.